So, as you know, the 2 messenger RNA vaccines approved in Europe are currently approved from 12 years of age. So it is considered that the benefit risk of the use of this vaccine in adolescents is positive. And what we are seeing also emerging from the United States with the Delta variant spreading around is that there is a massive increase of hospitalization due to the Delta variant, which affects mainly adolescents which are not vaccinated. In terms of children below 12 years of age, we do expect to receive data at least for some of the vaccines during the fall in order to understand, starting from the ages of 5 to 11, whether a positive benefit risk can be reached there as well. So we will follow up this matter and we will try to understand whether indeed this vaccine can be used also in children below 12 years of age.
Thank you very much. The next question comes from Helen Collis from Politico. Helen, please go ahead. Helen, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. No, it's okay.
Great. Thank you very much for the press conference. It's good to have them back again. Can you tell me a bit more about the data requirements for the booster dosing applications? You mentioned that the community booster data is being reviewed. I'm wondering, given that there are several vaccines available and authorised in the EU, how countries will be looking at administering boosters if, say, only one vaccine is approved for a booster dose, say the community one later, but their population have received a whole host of different other vaccines. So is the EMA requiring data of boosters on top of other vaccines, or just solely on that one type of vaccine? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Dr. Cavalieri?
Indeed, the booster data that we'll be receiving and we will be assessing essentially are studies that are looking into the safety and immunogenicity of this booster dose that is given, let's say, at least 6 months after the completion of the primary series. And this is what is normally done also for other vaccines as well. So that will be the primary basis of the evaluation. And these data indeed are based on what we call an homologous booster. So in other way, a third dose of the same vaccine that was given in the primary series. That is what the companies are intending to submit to us as the primary evidence in order to support the approval of a booster. But as you rightly say, the reality in the member states and also elsewhere in the world would be that in a lot of cases, the booster may follow a different type of vaccines or a different brand of the same type of vaccine than the one of the booster. So that's the reason why we are quite eager to collect data and evidence with respect to what we may call heterologous booster in order to see whether we could expand the product information for this booster in order to cover this such kind of use, which we expect will be a reality.
Thank you very much. I'm now taking a question of Susie Ring from Bloomberg. Susie, please go ahead.
Hi there. I just wondered if Marco could expand on some of the comments he made about the antibody treatments and use for prevention. I think there were a few that he mentioned and talked about a review being made with an October decision, but obviously they're coming from a number of different companies. Have you, for example, received the application for conditional marketing approval from AstraZeneca, which was the most recent to report? And are you expecting a host of decisions then in October for a variety of antibodies?
Thank you very much. Dr. Cavalieri.
Indeed, the 4 that I mentioned are the ones that are most advanced. They have already started rolling review before the summer and are quite mature for a potential conclusion in the coming weeks and by October. But there are others that will be coming. The AstraZeneca one that you mentioned is one of those. So we are engaging already with the company and try to understand what could be the next steps in order to advance the evaluation of these monoclonal antibodies as well. And there are a few others that have already generated clinical data that we will be assessing in the near future.
Thank you very much. The next question comes from Ludwig Burger from Reuters. Ludwig, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Maybe if you can follow up on what you said earlier on the ongoing rolling reviews and maybe talk us through these 4 individual procedures separately, if you can. And you did mention the pediatric or below 12 years of age process. You mentioned the fall. I understand there are much more precise estimates on the timing out there, so I wonder if you could comment on that specifically on the BioNTech application. Thank you.
Dr. Cavalieri again.
So starting from the rolling review, as you know, the CureVac vaccines has delivered some top-line results that were made public before the summer break, and we will be assessing all this clinical data in the coming weeks. So it's imminent, the submission of all this clinical data, and we will see what kind of conclusion we can draw then on this data. Then we got the Novavax vaccine that has also published a number of results of clinical trials, and also with them we will be engaging in the coming weeks in order to see how we can progress, particularly on the aspects of manufacturing, and if we can see that we can conclude on this vaccine by the end of this year. Then we got the Sputnik and the Sinovac vaccines, and for these vaccines, the discussion with the company has been quite constructive, but it looks like there are more data that need to be submitted to us before we can progress with the different rolling review. So it's a bit more uncertain to understand what could be the time frame of the progression of the evaluation of these 2 others vaccines that are in rolling review. Then coming to your question on pediatric, as you know, the messenger RNA vaccines companies have already declared that they may have data ready for submission to regulators even by the end of September or in October. So we are discussing with them and trying to understand if this will be the case or whether there will be any delay. But we will be prepared to start looking at this data before the end of the year.
Thank you very much. The next question comes from Victoria English from MedNu. Victoria?
Yeah.
Okay, we hear you.
But I'd also like to raise the question about variant, which has only come up once so far. I mean, we're all focused on the Delta variant. Is there anything else out there that we should be concerned about in terms of changes in the virus itself?
Dr. Cavalieri, please.
Of course, we are looking very carefully at what is emerging in terms of variants, not only ourselves, but a lot of other public health bodies across the globe, and we are in discussion with all of them. As you know, besides Delta, which is really the dominant variant right now and the one that we have to really focus on, we are also looking into other variants that might be spreading, like the Lambda one and more recently the Mu one. The Mu one being potentially more of concern because of the potential increased immune escape that it may show. However, I have to say that we don't have yet data that will show that the Mu variant is spreading that much and whether it will have any chance to overtake the Delta variant as a dominant strain. Nevertheless, we will be discussing with developers if data can be generated to show what is the level of cross-neutralization against also this emerging variant.
Thank you very much. So far, we only have one additional question in the chat, but I think this was responded to. It is from François Bossier from APM, who asks, are the data provided for the Comirnaty booster dose immunological or clinical data? And does the EMA need clinical data? But I think, Dr. Cavalieri, you responded to that one already. Otherwise, I don't see any additional questions. So I want to thank you very much for participating in this press briefing, and also a big thank you to my colleagues here at the desk for their participation. If you have any further questions, please, as always, do not hesitate to contact our press office at press@ema.europa.eu. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.